Good evening, Forest City Elementary, and welcome back. I hope the first couple of days of our flex learning have been going well for you. Tonight's reading, what we're going to read is the book is titled West Point A to Z. It's an alphabet book, and the author, I do have permission from the author to read this tonight. His name is Mike Nemeth, and the book is illustrated by Tim Williams. Mike is a former graduate of West Point, and tonight, since we have our son here, he's going to be providing comments and reading part of this with me, since he is currently going to West Point. So we'll get started here. A is for Army. After training and studying hard for 4 years, every cadet that graduates from West Point becomes an officer in the United States Army.
B is for Buckner. Camp Buckner is where cadets train to become soldiers. It's a lot of fun, and cadets love spending their summer vacations there.
Did you think that Camp Buckner was a summer vacation?
Well, I liked it. Most cadets don't.
Good. C is for cadets. Students at West Point have the rank of cadet in the military. It's not a very high rank, but at least they're not midshipmen at the Naval Academy.
D is for dress gray. Dress gray is the traditional uniform at West Point and hasn't changed in over 200 years. That's because it looks great and is so comfortable.
Do you like wearing your dress grays?
No, dress gray is so uncomfortable.
E is for Eisenhower. Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the class of 1915, and after leading the Army in World War II, he became President of the United States.
F is for football. The Army team's the pride and dream of every heart in gray. The Army line you'll ever find, a terror in the fray.
G is for gray. When winter comes, everything at West Point becomes gloomy and gray. Gray is even an official color of West Point.
H is for hours. When cadets get in trouble, they have to march back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth.
Have you ever had to march any hours?
No, I have not.
Let's keep it that way. I is for the IOCT. The Indoor Obstacle Course Test is every cadet's favorite exam. Instructors from the Department of Physical Education love to watch the cadets climb and fall. How was your IOCT test?
It was awful. J is for Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was the third president of the United States and signed a law in 1802 to create the United States Military Academy at West Point.
K is for Black Knights. Go Army. West Point is just like other colleges and has many sports that cadets play. Their mascot is the Black Knight, and he represents the fearsome skill of the Army team. What Army sport do you play when you're there?
I'm on the club hockey team. L is for the Long Gray Line. Graduates from West Point all share a bond through their fun times at the military academy. Members of the Long Gray Line always help each other.
M is for MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur graduated at the top of his class in 1903. He led many soldiers, fought in many battles, and made many speeches.
N is for Navy. Boo Navy, beat Navy, sink Navy.
O is for old grads. Old grads usually gather around to talk about how tough it was for them and how easy it is for the cadets nowadays. They often say, the Corps has.
P is for parades. West Point cadets march on the parade field to practice their ability to take commands and walk in straight lines.
Do you enjoy parade practice?
Nope.
Q is for Q. One lonely cadet has to be on watch all day. He is called the CCQ, the cadet in charge of quarters, or just simply the Q. Have you ever had to be the Q?
I've had many Q shifts. R is for room standards. Every room at West Point is kept in perfect condition. Always clean, bed always made, and not an unfolded sock in sight.
S is for soup. The superintendent is a general in charge of everything at West Point. He lives in the oldest house around, and his nickname is Soup. Who's the current Soup of West Point?
General Williams. T is for Thayer. Sylvanus Thayer is known as the father of West Point. He was superintendent in 1817 and made West Point the first engineering college in the United States.
U is for uniforms. West Point uniforms reflect 200 years of tradition. From full dress to dress gray, today's cadets wear the same uniform since West Point was founded.
V is for victory. Everyone loves to cheer the Army team to victory. From the rocket to rock the black gold, cadets and fans have many cheers to celebrate an Army win.
W is for our patriot, George Washington. George Washington, our first president, chose West Point as a strategic fort while fighting the British in the Revolutionary War. You can find his statue on the plane.
X is for our expatriate, Benedict Arnold. Benedict Arnold was a traitor during the Revolutionary War. He tried to sell West Point to the British, but was caught and did not have very many friends afterwards.
Y is for yelling. West Point teaches cadets discipline. Your first day is called R Day, and if you do not do as you're told, you might be corrected by an upperclassman with a loud voice. How was your R Day?
Lots of yelling. Z is for zero, Navy score in football. Everyone knows that this year is going to be the year that Navy scores 0 points against Army in the Army-Navy football game. If not this year, then definitely next year.
Unfortunately, it wasn't this year, but definitely next year. And that ends our reading. Go Army!
Beat Navy!